is 7:30. Oh yeah, well done. Thank you, Hiran. Well, kia ora, nau mai, haere mai. Welcome to our online PALS PLD. It's awesome to have you all join us this evening. Now, it's going to be a very relaxed, informal get-together, essentially, and just having a kōrero, basically, of what's happening in your schools with PALS. Kia ora. So I'll just start our hui tonight with karakia to set the tone of our meeting. So kia ora. Te ha I te whānau, whae te mataranga, kia marama, kia whae taki nā mahi katoa, tu mahi, tu kaha, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou e tātou katoa. That's translated to, for this gathering, seek knowledge for understanding, have purpose in all that you do, stand tall, be strong, let us show respect for one another. So kia ora. So, yeah, again, thank you. So we'll just introduce ourselves. For myself, kia ora, I'm Rose, and I'm the school facilitator here in Easton. Fun fact about myself, I'm living in Gore and currently amidst a first house build. So fun and games out this way. Yeah, so kia ora. So I'll pass you over to my colleague, Jodie.
Kia ora, everybody. Yeah, my name's Jodie. I'm a facilitator in the Eastern office as well, but living in Invercargill. I don't know if I want to do fun. I'm not building a house or anything exciting. I did just go and pick up a treadmill tonight, though. I plan to, probably more so my son will use it because he's just started wanting to run and he's not quite old enough that I would see him running around the street. So I've just got him one so that he can run on. And I may walk on it and I'll see how I feel. Yeah, and I'll just pass on. We've got two other of our colleagues online so they can introduce themselves. Who wants to go? Hiran, if you point into Billy.
Billy's like that way on my screen, so I was just pointing to Billy. I'm Hiran, and I'm like Jodie and Rose and Billy, a school facilitator, and my area is Northern Southland, so I go from Te Anau, where Dawn is, right across to Waikaia, and I've just picked up a couple of central schools along the way. So yeah, it's cool. I've been in here for like coming up like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, yeah, about that. And I'm not fun. I don't have any fun facts about me. Nah, normally I am real fun, but when you got to think about yourself being fun, it's probably a bit different. I'm super competitive, but that's not even really fun. I watch Korean subtitled TV. That's my thing. Yeah, it's random, but it's addictive. And Richie's wife, our work colleague, she started watching it too. So, it's cool. I know. And Richie's like, it's a conspiracy. But anyway, that's my fun fact. Over to you, Billy.
Oh, that is the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard. Good on you, Hiran. You do you. You do you. Kia ora, I am Billy, and I am the school facilitator here in Invercargill. So I've just passed the buck with half of my schools to our new school facilitator, Stu. So I used to have 17, but now I've got about 9, so that's quite nice. Fun fact about me, I have the worst facials in the world. I will probably be sitting here like at every, but please just ignore. It is tells a story. So bring back a mask is all I say.
Cool. So that some of our team that are online. I just thought quickly we could go and the teachers that are on just introduce maybe. You don't have to do a fun fact, but it'd be cool if we carry on. So we'll start with Dawn.
Sure. Kia ora, everyone. I'm Dawn. I'm from Te Anau, as Hiran has said. I'm assistant principal and head of curriculum up here. Really looking forward to sort of learning a little bit more about PALS. We haven't got it going in our school yet, but we have got a teacher who has used it and we've seen the benefits of it at Winton when they were there a few years ago. So he highly raved about it and said, yeah, sounds really good. So looking forward to getting that up and running, hopefully. A fun fact about me, I'm not really fun at the moment either. I'm recovering from my second back surgery. So major back surgery. I've just had my back fused at the start of the year. However, I am learning to fly fish. So that's my goal for getting out and active over summer this year. Yeah, so if you know any good rivers with heaps of fishing, because all I'm doing is losing lures and flies at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn. I'm just going to go across who's on my screen. Casey, you're next.
Kia ora, everyone. I'm Casey. I work out at Endale Primary School, Year 3, Year 4 teacher, and I've just taken on the role as getting PALS up and going at Endale School this year. So it's been a journey, but yeah, exciting, and we can see the benefits of it, working in our school. So it's awesome. Fun fact, I don't really have a fun fact either, but I'm recently have brought chickens, so I could call myself a chicken farmer now. So yeah, that's me.
You'll go nicely with Rose. She's got chickens.
Yeah, I've got 4 ladies here, so and one I can say is disabled, but we'll keep her on. I think she lays, I'm not sure.
Oh, thanks, Casey. Jane.
Kia ora. Jane Stewart from Tapanui Primary School, principal there, and we've started PALS start of last year actually, and still got them going. So yeah, really loving the opportunity that the kids have to be involved in that. So yeah, looking forward to sharing a little bit about our journey tonight, but also hearing other people's would be cool, and just seeing how we can extend and grow that. Fun fact, talking about chickens, I suppose I could carry my chicken story. Went to get the eggs. They've not been laying very well. They're not that old, and they are free range around the veggie garden because I haven't got around to planting the veggie garden, so they might as well get the worms. And was thinking that perhaps they needed to have their heads chopped off because they weren't giving me any eggs. And I'd searched everywhere, and then my husband went out and found in the shed there is a pile of straw that they had got in behind, and there was a whole nest full of eggs. So we're busy trying to get through the eggs now. So yeah, clever little chickens.
It's sort of like a roulette game of what egg is going to be good and what's not.
Pop them in the water first. Always a good.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're a wise lady. Yeah, kia ora.
Thanks, Jane. Now, next on my screen, it's a K Alti, and I don't want to guess what the K stands for. So,
kia ora koutou. My name's Katie Alte, and I teach out at Riverton. I'm in the junior school, so I'm just here tonight supporting my colleague who you'll meet shortly, Ben Cleaver, who's online here with us shortly. And my husband and I are in the process of building a 1.8 metre fence to keep our chickens out of our vegetable garden. Same boat.
Chicken theme. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. So I'm guessing Cleaver is Ben.
Yeah, kia ora team. Yeah, Ben Cleaver here from Riverton Primary School. Fun fact about me, I'm currently back in my parents' house because I'm recovering from shoulder surgery. So please forgive me for not having my camera on because I'm in the kitchen.
All good, all good.
Awesome.
And is it Lisa that's just jumped on?
Yes, Lisa is from.
Kia ora, everyone.
Oh, here we go.
Kia ora. Kia ora. I'm here from Sport Northland. My video doesn't seem to be working. It's just a black screen, but thanks for having me along.
Oh, have you got a fun fact to finish on?
Yes, I'm trying to think real quick. Fun fact. Fun fact. No, I can't think of a fun fact other than the fact I'm just looking out my window, daylight savings, I can see the ocean, so I'm in a happy place.
Lovely.
Jealous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks, team. It's great to have everyone on, and we do have a couple of people that are just going to share about their skills with implementing PALS. I'm guessing everyone knows kind of what PALS stands for, or has a little idea of what it means. If not, it's physical activity leaders. But it was with a school 2 days ago, and they were introducing themselves to their whole school and just said we're physical active leaders. So it's quite cool. The kids can just roll with whatever they feel like they want to be. So our first speaker is going to be Jane from Tapanui to share about their journey and what they've been doing with PALS. So over to you, Jane.
Cool. Feel free to hit me with any questions. This is very casual. So yeah, we started our journey start of last year. I was in the position of acting principal while the principal was on study leave. And so I had the privilege of getting all the emails that the principal normally gets and kind of going, oh, that's interesting. That's nice. Oh, that's good. And one popped up about PALS from Craig at Sport Southland. And I kind of went, oh, that sounds interesting. And we'd started the year working really hard to try and build some of our Year 6 leaders. And so we start the year with a Year 6 Leadership Day. And we're just trying to find other opportunities for our seniors to take on leadership opportunities that weren't perhaps, we had student council and house group leaders and things like that, but thought maybe this might appeal to some of our more sporty kids that were into more physical activity at lunchtimes and things. So I asked Craig, and he sent me all the information with application forms. I thought, oh, well, this is like really formal. Like, this is interesting. It was not what I was expecting. Shared it with the kids and pretty much put it to them like, this is a job, so you need to apply for it. Not everyone who applies will necessarily get the job. So they went home, and some did an incredible job, obviously went home and discussed it with parents and thought, well, what is it that I can present? What skills do I have? Why do I want to do this job? And it was actually a really cool process for them to have to go through, because we were selective and we didn't pick everybody. And so, yeah, we ended up, I don't know, I think we might have had 9 or 10 PAL leaders to start with. So Craig and Rose came, I think you were part of that, weren't you, Rose? Came out and helped train the leaders with a few others, actually. Which was really cool. And they had the day together, working through different games, how to lead games. The kids were just buzzing. The other thing that I thought was really cool was how to adapt games, how to make them their own. If you've got different children that perhaps can't do some of the bits, how could you adapt it so that everyone can participate? So gave them real sense of ownership and listen to their ideas. They had an opportunity to lead some of the games and get a bit of coaching there. And then it was up to us to kind of figure out how we might do that with some ideas from these guys as well. And so we got a big whiteboard that sits in our staff room window that the kids decided that they were going to do it in groups. And so they would have 1 day a week, each group. So it was like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that they would go out and run a game. They might be in pairs or 2s or 3s and go and lead that game together. So that was great. They went in and they would put up on the whiteboard, your PAL leaders today are Billy and Johnny, let's say, and the game is meet us outside the library or meet us on the court or whatever. And they'd go around each morning and just let the people know, let the different classes know what the game was and where to meet them and everything as well. So, it started off really well, and actually it's continued really well. There haven't been that many issues with it. The kids have really enjoyed it. Some of the challenges were initially children not knowing the games, and so them wanting to choose new games, but it taking quite a bit to explain the games, and some children not listening particularly well, and that was a bit of a challenge, behaviour management. So that was something that as staff we supported them with. And then we also talked to the team about how to perhaps look at that problem, and we ended up talking to some of the teachers, and the PALS leaders went out and worked with the classes in their class time and actually taught the class the game, so that the different classes learnt some new games, but the PALS leaders were actually teaching them, so that when they came out to PALS time, they knew the games. And so that way they also had the support of the teacher to help them if there were any behaviour issues. And it was also like a bit of a PE lesson. So that was a win-win for everybody. And that certainly helped. As that year progressed, they just, each term they would swap over which days they did it and who they worked with. So they weren't always working with the same PAL leader. This year it's run pretty similarly. We've had some more training from the Southland team and Active Southland, which has been awesome. We joined with Heriot, which was also really cool, another school who had some PAL leaders. So that was neat because we are part of a kahuiako, so that was a cool sort of leadership training day for them. They'll all end up being at college together, so nice for them to see each other being leaders. And I'm just trying to think what the only development has been this year. We've probably seen more juniors joining in rather than seniors. Our seniors have, and I'm not sure if it's something from PALS or it's just another, it's possibly come from that, but they've really committed to playing touch rugby at lunchtimes and morning teas. And it's actually just really cool to watch them playing their own game. Sometimes they have their own ref with the whistle and sometimes they don't, but just seeing them interact and work together has been really cool. But yet they're still, because some of those people who are committed to playing touch every day are our PALS leaders, and it's been neat to see them join in with people and take leadership roles that they wouldn't necessarily normally work with. This year we did the same application process that they had to go through, and we did put in some kids that perhaps their applications weren't as strong, but we thought actually this would be really good for them. They perhaps struggle academically, and so here's an opportunity that they're starting to grow, and that's been really great for them. Gives them something constructive to do at lunchtime, and a way, particularly now that it is a lot more junior children, a way that they can take a leadership role without their peers kind of being in the way and taking the lead from them, I guess. So yeah, I think it's been really valuable and we'll certainly be carrying that on. Any questions? That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Jane, I've got a question for you, please.
Yeah.
What's the role of your school?
Oh, sorry, that would have been a good thing to explain. So we're Tapanui, West Otago, and we've got 82 children. Yeah. So year 1 to 6. Yeah. And I think we've got 9 this year, which is a good number. And they do it 3 days a week. Well, they each take a lunchtime and they decide whether they're going to do it at morning tea or lunchtime. They usually do it at morning tea because then they kind of say to the children, well, we're not going to do it at lunchtime, but if you want to do it, this is the gear you'll need. And so it kind of is like a intro, hey, here's an idea. And sometimes it carries on. Yeah, it's really cool.
Any other questions? You did very well, Jane, explaining it all, obviously. But and afterwards, we are recording this. Sorry, we didn't actually ask permission, but we are recording. And we can make sure that if you want to get in contact separately, you can contact one of the 4 of our Active Southland team and we can pass on details with that way as well. So thanks, Jane. And Craig, you're talking about Craig from Sport Otago.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's all right. No, but just make, just in case people are wondering who a Craig is, that's all good. And Rose was out there supporting as well. So yeah, cool.
And I just adding to that, that training day, one really good aspect and a difference was the inclusion of is it Cherie from the Halberg Foundation, Jane? She came along to that day, didn't she?
I actually didn't have too much to do with that. Was that the one you did with Harriet?
No, that was with Harriet and Tapanui that day. Yeah, so she came along and she was able to offer, you know, that adaptation and that inclusion of different learners. So that was that was quite insightful for not only for the adults participating, but also for the tamariki as well, which was just a nice wee addition, and how you can tap into those experts as well, even with your pals. So that was great that happened that day. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, so we'll move on to you, Casey. You're looking quite daunted. Don't be. You've been very casual.
Jody knows I hate talking. In front of kids are fine. Adults, we're very similar to Jane in a way. So we used to have, before COVID and all that stuff, cool skills mediators, and then it kind of stopped over COVID, and we've had nothing for the last 2 to 3 years. So we wanted the cool skills to come back up, but we felt in the past that it wasn't really, kids would just walk around and with a vest, and that was about it. So I think, I don't know, I think one of my colleagues heard from Jody was something about pals, and then said, because I know Jody quite well, I gave Jody a bus, and she kind of took over for me, which was great. She knew what she was talking about, and I was kind of learning with the kids. So like, we have student council, and there's only a certain amount of numbers on our student council for year sixes, and a lot of the year sixes apply. So for POWs, we did an application, a form of what would make a great leader, what could you bring, what games do you enjoy, stuff like that. And we had 10 people apply, and we took them all. So they are on a roster, they're in pairs, and each pair is on a different day, Monday till Friday at lunchtime, and each term they swap their pairs. They have hats called POWs, blue hats, and the rest of the kids have maroon hats, our school's sun hats, so they stand out. Each term we get together in week 1, and we go over the games they want to do for the next fortnight and put it on a roster, and each classroom window has a roster for the next 2 weeks with different games. So on Mondays it's games, on Tuesdays it's sports, on Wednesday it's equipment, and then on Thursday it might be sports and games again, and Friday like that. What else? The purpose for it is, because we're a country school, we have a lot of new kids come and go, especially at Gypsy Days when farms move around, and there were a lot of kids that were left coming in school with no one to play with, and a lot of the time, especially 2 of mine, were causing drama, not big drama, but just a wee bit of fighting and stuff, because they had no one to play with. They were bored, they were trying to fit in, and they didn't really have a place where they felt like they could go to all the time, so they tried to act cool and then start making silly mistakes, kids. The purpose was around that everyone has a place at lunchtime to go to. So that was our main purpose of POWs, and hopefully to see that behaviour at lunchtime decrease, which I can say it has, looking at last year's data, which is big win. At the start we had heaps of kids joining in, but it's kind of depends what games, depends what the weather's doing. Like sometimes we can have over 10 kids joining the game, sometimes we have 5, but I've never seen a game with 5 under so far, so fingers crossed. Depends what power leader's on too. Some like junior girls love the girls power leaders, well some boys have a max and they get their siblings along or forces their siblings and then all their friends come, and yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, at the start Jodie, all of term 1 pretty much, I think, Jodie, wasn't it? We did all leadership. What is a leadership games, what are our strengths, what it means to be a leader, pretty much all of term 1, because we didn't want to rush into it and then it to belly flop and yeah, kind of lose its purpose of what it's meant to be for. Yeah, that's pretty much. What else, Jodie? Help.
No, you're awesome. You're right, exactly what you've said. You eased into it, and as Casey said, like she was all new to PAL, so I didn't take over. She worked alongside me.
I meant in a good way.
Yeah, so we went in once the PALs had applied, so we knew the group, and we just worked with the group, yeah, like around leadership, communication, and yeah, dealing with those behavior things at lunchtime, different situations. And for Casey, it was really good because she's kept all the activities and everything we did so that it's sustainable, so that next year I'm not going to have to go in and do it all again. Casey will be more than capable to, she's got her PALS folder, and
yeah, also if a teacher comes in case I move or something happens where I want to take another thing on and let someone else take that on, the folders there with what the steps we went through, so it's easy to follow. Yeah. And we also at the start, the first 2 terms, with reflect every week, did where the kids had a sheet and we did whole group reflection and also personal reflections. And also at the start we the PAL surveys each classroom of what they would like to do at lunch times and stuff. So that's where we got all our data, and then we go, oh, we see that this game's been mentioned a lot, well we see they like this equipment, so that's how we got our games and ideas for too. Forgot to mention. Yeah.
any questions for Casey?
Well,
All right, cool.
I've just got a question / comment. So I'm from the RST, a bit like Rose. It sounds like that's my role, going into the school, providing the leadership sessions, providing the game ideas, along with student voice to gather what they want to deliver. I think what I'm finding where my project is falling over with the schools is that, one, I haven't got a champion in the school, which sounds like Casey is that champion to keep it going when I'm not there. And also I'm finding the PALs that I'm getting allocated are not necessarily wanting to be there. Like, I'm quite interested in the whole application process. It's sort of like the Kaiko have seen a group that they think would make good leaders, but they're not necessarily that keen, some of them, and then it kind of drops the vibe of the group. Does that sound familiar to anyone else?
Yeah, I get that totally. That's why, and I'm sure Jane or Casey would be willing to share your application forms that you made up, and like you mentioned, Jane, the kids really, it was cool to hear that they've gone home and really talked about their qualities and things like that, because in Casey, you won't mind me sharing this, there was one that applied and he did come on board, but then actually in hindsight he wasn't really cut out for the job as such, so yeah, he
in our application, and I didn't make it up, I take no credit for it, it was one that Craig sent me through when he sent through all the information, and on there they actually have to provide referees as well. And so they have to have, there's a statement, a space for someone else to write about why they think they'd make a good PALS. And so that could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be whoever could do that. And so that was really interesting to see that too, because it also meant, because a lot of them were parents, that parents were on board and parents knew, and so there was that support as well, and going, no, hang on a minute, you put your name down to be a PAL, so you know, you stick at it and you commit to it. And so they were kind of part of that process, which was really cool.
Cool. Thanks, Casey. Just looking at what we have planned next. Rose, are you going to have a wee kōrero about here at school as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm just sharing Harriet's journey. Penny, the champion, she's on school camp, so she's unavailable to kōrero tonight. So I'm just sharing the insights she gave me to share with you all. So as Jane mentioned earlier, there was a combined day with Tapanui where Harriet students went over to Tapanui, and they did this together. And from that, Penny reached out to me, and she felt that her tamariki needed a bit more support with the leadership skills. So we had another leadership day, which actually went on to a couple of days because we didn't get through all the mahi that that was planned, but we wanted to work at a rate that was at the pace of those PALs. So yeah, it was a great, we wanted to make it quite a special, have a specialness about it, and it was the responsibility that went with committing to PALs. So yeah, it was quite a good day, and we looked at inviting some local heroes, like role models within the community, to come along, and we actually had two like rangatahi come along that just threw the ball around with the tamariki. So it was, these rangatahi that children knew and looked up to. So that was quite relevant, and it didn't mean that the role models within the community didn't all have to be like, or didn't have to be an All Black. It can be someone that they knew. Yeah. So from that training day, all the year 5 and 6s came along to that, because Harriet, because they came from the background was they had student council, but they wanted to offer up more leadership opportunities. So all the year 5 and 6s were invited to come along and to get trained up for PALs. And that's one of the successes, is that all of them signed up. Again, they had the agreement that they had to sign up and sign, and this was linked closely to the school values as well. So yeah, so it happens on Friday at lunchtimes, and it's student-led. They have inside and outside activities. So they had two inside, doing an inside activity, a more quieter activity, and then an outside game. So that catered for both of these areas, really, because we didn't want the tamariki to think that because the weather was terrible that PALs would be off for that day. So it's a learning opportunity for them. Some of the other learnings from Harriet, that it needs to be a whole school approach with all the kaiako, because it's an opportunity for not only the PALS leaders to have that, the good things that happen, and also the learnings that come from the children that aren't listening and things like that, but also it makes it more enjoyable for the children that are participating in the games. So they appreciated the support, outside support from HAL, and that helped greatly. So with the questions and the resources, that was they found that quite useful. Yeah, again, connecting to the school values. They really thought about the staff and how they all had to have a buy-in with this, because they didn't want it, if the PALS leader or the champion was away, that then the other teachers wouldn't know what's happening. So that was important to have all the staff on board. Yeah, absolutely student-led. So they, again, like Casey did, they went around and kōrero with all the tamariki to get the ideas of what they, the other tamariki were wanting at the PALS time. And a slightly different road that Heriot have taken. They've looked at all these resources that they are wanting, you know, to provide for the tamariki, but they were thinking, well, how are we going to get the funds? So they have looked at fundraising. So far with providing lunches like sausages and baking, they've raised $500 so far. So they now they've got the decision of, you know, what equipment and what that money is going to be used for. So that's been another factor of PALS over there. So with that is lots of learning for them as well. They've had some challenges along the way. It's continuing the momentum with the normal day-to-day of school and things like production. How do they keep that going? So that's a kōrero, a conversation that they've been having. So they're looking at ways, next steps, how to make it part of the duty, because there's been some challenges there, and looking at ways to, to strengthen PALS with that Heriot school. So it's an ongoing conversation, really. Because they know that it could be better. So Penny O'Meara, she's the one of the champions there. So, but she's happy if you were to reach out, if anyone's got any questions for her, to reach out to her. So that's Heriot's journey so far. Kia ora.
Thanks, Rose. You
No
actually
worries.
something just clicked in my brain when you were saying about keeping it interesting, because Casey, you've worked on doing something at the end of each term last term when we took our playler out there for the last week of the term, so that the PALS sort of led that, but it's a sort of a fun end of term thing that the PALS did, isn't it?
Yeah, I forgot to mention also, I forget stuff and it comes when people keep talking. Father's Day, we did a Father's Day picnic, and the PALS actually before lunchtime did Father's Day races against, like, the dads were racing. They did like a wee circuit, like what did we have? Wheelbarrow races. What else did we have? Three-legged races, sandbag races, and the first three, they just handed out chocolates, and then all the kids tried to drag their dads away. So the PALS actually ran that. They had a big sign and go, join in our PALS Father's Day activity. And yeah, it was actually really fun. Yeah, great. Yeah, so much fun. They loved it. So, and they're thinking now using the pool summertime. Obviously, I said I'll come and supervise, and other teachers said they would happy to supervise too, but they're going to do like volleyball in the pool and swimming races too, like fun summer activities that they don't get in winter time. And like if it's rainy, they go into the library and they do ball games and or friendship bracelets. It just doesn't have to be games or moving your body. It's all about relationships too. So yeah, sorry, I just thought I'd put that in.
Perfect.
A couple of our pals are quite keen dancers, and so they always have a wet day option, being dancing, doing some of the, you know, how you get the videos on YouTube, and so they supervise that in there, and the kids love it. It's just a really good inside option sometimes, or even just getting a big sound speaker outside and having music on, and that's been a popular one too at times.
Yeah, cool. I'll just briefly talk Matoda. Kelly from Matoda was going to jump on, but she would have forgot. But she won't mind me sharing. So I worked with them, and we took a wee bit of a different approach there. Kelly teaches the year 5 and 6 class, so she thought it would be cool for the whole class to get a wee feel about PALS. So I went in there and worked with her, and we did some leadership things as a whole class, some communication things as a whole class, with a few games, and had a few scenarios that they had to talk through about if this happened at a game while you were a PALS leader. And from there, they sort of got a wee indication or a feel of what it might be like. So then they did an application. And from then those PALS leaders, then we sort of went more intense and looked at doing the rosters and all those, getting the insights in that there. So yeah, just a different way of doing it. The same I've done with another school as well. But I guess it's up to how the school wants to mold it to their school. There's no right or wrong way to implement PALS. And like Casey and Jane have said, it doesn't have to be all sport. It can be games. It can be friendship bracelets, Lego if it's wet, all those sorts of things. So and I also will touch on how having that whole school approach, I think, is probably key to why it's been successful in the schools that are doing it. It's not just left to that one person, and if that one person's away, then nothing happens. Everyone's sort of on board. Would that be fair, Jane and Casey?
Yeah, our kids pretty much run it. Like they do meet with, we have a teacher who is the champion, so it's not me anymore. One of our young teachers has taken that on and said, please, can I help lead that? And so she meets with them a couple of times a term, and they just talk through, but like what Casey was saying, they talk through what games they've sometimes gone around to the classes and said, what games do you want? What ones do you like? And they pretty much lead that. They draw up who's on, and then it's their responsibility to get together. They get a bit of time to go, well, do you want to think of a couple of games that you're going to do on your turn? Bit of a wet plan option, a wet option plan. And they pretty much run it. They quite like coming into the staff room, having that permission to write their information up, but they always come to the office, can we please go into the staff room and write up our PALS? Yes, you may, thank you very much. Feel quite grown up. But I do like the idea, I think it was Casey saying, just having that reflection time, and actually doing the personal reflection. How am I going as a PALS? What am I struggling with? What could I do better perhaps? How do I think it's going? What's impacting that? I think they're good questions.
Is there anyone else that wants to share anything or any of their thinkings or questions that you want to ask our Active Southland team about anything, or Sport Northland? You can ask too. I'd be interested in to know a little bit more about how it's going up there too.
I'd be happy to share from my experience at Riverton Primary School. So I'm just fresh out of Teachers College, and I've just started there my first year. So I picked up the PALS, looking to gain some experience and all that, and I found it quite very enjoyable, and I've seen a lot of students step up and show a great willingness to be a part of it. I didn't really go through much of the process of applications at the beginning of it. Our principal Tim, he sort of managed it all before and just like passed it on to me and showed me what was the go. And then I caught up with Mark Tree from Active South, and we just had a big chat through like the Move Well book that he got us onto at the very beginning of the year. All of us teachers had a bit of a PLD. You know, we all came together, learned some new activities, learned how the games run. And so throughout the year, a lot of our senior students have been experienced to this Move Well booklet. They've had the experience through these activities. And so we're using that resource for the kids to flick through and select activities to play throughout lunchtimes. And I've found that this has actually been quite successful, as they've got that knowledge, their prior knowledge of these activities, and when teaching and explaining instructions, most students are well aware of how the activity runs. So I found that to be quite a wee successful thing for our wee implementation of PALS. I do have a few like questions, because I'm just in regards to when some of you, I've got two students in the PALS who are they kind of forget that they're being role models. And so I'm wondering what's the process of, you know, pulling them in, having like, you know, trying to explain to them, hey, you are a role model. We need to be showing these, you know, proper, you know, values, and showing kindness and caring for our students who are participating. But it's not that, it's more of like a, how do I just resolve this sort of issue? Because then it's not really what we want to be promoting with the PALS. I was just wondering if anyone would have any like sort of like a process I might need to take.
I think a lot of it comes down to coaching, just getting alongside them. Perhaps, you know, you said you haven't done the application process, but I would be kind of pulling that application back out and go, hey, look, you applied for a position here, just like in the real world. If you apply for a position, these are the key tasks, and this is what you've agreed to do. Is there a problem? What are the problems? How can I help? You know, is it that it's difficult? Well, you know, how about I video the session, and then we can go back through it and
That's great. Because like I'm finding this, it's been very successful, and I've had more students come up to me, and because they would like to join into the PALS, and so we need to set up another application process just to get a few more, because our numbers are still, we've got about 6-7 at the moment, and we run Wednesday to Friday. And it's been really cool to see that there's like an increasing interest in the senior school area, and like, you know, our numbers during the activities are still good. Most of the time the activities run well. I'm finding that they tend to run better when I'm there. I don't need to step in, but I'm just more there for the behavior management, where the students are easily able to run it, and they can manage all the activity. But it's just when some of our students, you know, there's just things don't go their way for the day, the game's they're not winning or something, and that behavior just kind of shines out. So it's just trying to really support the PALS with that behavior. But it's but,
and to be
oh,
fair, you know, we've done supervision as well, just like that. It's not that it's just left to the kids, because sometimes you do have some kiddies that join that can't manage themselves very well, and it's a challenge for a teacher, let alone a student, to have to manage that as well. So there are times when, you know, the teacher on duty, and that's like coming back to that whole school approach where everyone's on board with that. They know that there's a PALS game, and so we're just going to keep a little eye on that, especially when you can see some clientele there that push some buttons and don't always work. But I think it's been really good for a couple of our, like we've got one that's joined who is one of our challenging behaviour year 6 children, who we were a little bit tentative about making him a PALS, and we did have a conversation with him at the beginning to say, now it's really cool that you've applied. I'm really impressed that you want to put yourself out here and give up some of your lunchtime for other people. This is really cool. I'm also aware that we've had to have lots of conversations about your behaviour in the way that you manage yourself. Obviously, as a PALS, we're going to need you as a role model, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff, so that he knows that we're trusting him in this role. But it's also been good for him to have to deal with some behaviour, to then be able to go back in those conversation times and go, hey, that was really hard, wasn't it? What was hard? Oh, they weren't listening and they were being just whatever. Yeah, that's really tricky, isn't it? You know, I remember a time when we had and actually calling him out on it and going, that made that really difficult too. And so you can see how your behaviour has an impact on all of these people. And so it comes back to that coaching and helping kids see what behaviour is for what it is and how it impacts people.
Yeah, like I think that'd be, I definitely see that as going to be something I'll be probably doing next week. I'll have we catch up with a few of them, and that coaching and just having those conversations and reminding them of why they're a PAL and what that means and what that looks like, and just keeping it, because I mean I don't want to shut down. I don't want to cause someone to not be a part of it when there's those little slip ups where things do get difficult. But I just want the PALs to be making that positive impact with the tamariki, because at the moment there's a lot of interest. We don't want that increasing number to drop. We want these kids active. We want them doing something positive. And so that's great. Thank you very much, Jane.
Can I ask a question, Jodie? Does anyone have a mixed level PALS, like a year 5, 6, just for that tuakana with year 5 starting? So it's not always just year 6s. When at some point do you bring the year 5s in, or are they there throughout the journey so that they're the leaders effectively again the next year?
Yeah, we have year 5s and 6s can sign up, and we try and put a year 5 and 6 together.
Yep.
Casey, do you want to talk about how it's going to look?
I was giving you the eyes. You can say. Yeah, we're year 5s and 6s too, and hopefully next year that the year 5s who are year 6s next year will stay on, so they can teach a year 5s. Fingers crossed. We'll just but I think they will. Good bunch.
And do another application process at the end of this term, and then Casey will be able to run those.
We'll do it week 8 when the student councils go, because we like to, if they get on the student council, give another person a chance for PALS, give them another leadership role, because they do work with the student council for fundraisers too, our PALS. Year 5 and 6.
Just a question, has anybody used just year 5s instead of the year 6s? Or has it always been traditionally your year 6s?
I think it comes down. Oh, sorry, Billy, you go.
I was just going to say, I have one of my schools only, because they've got such a limited number of year 6s that are already on student councils, they do use the year 5s, because the year 6s are already quite busy when they go on camp, and they already have such a prestigious role in the school as the top dogs. They have used year 5s, and they've been more, they're called play ambassadors rather than the physical activity leaders, just so that they're more activating play and finding kids that might be a bit lost and including them and leading them into some sort of something, whether it's putting out equipment or it's not quite the traditional PALS model, but it still works for what they are doing. So there's no reason why. I think the year 5s still do an awesome job at it. It just takes a little bit longer to kind of get them up to scratch. By now they know exactly what they're doing and they're all over it. So
that's cool. So a couple more questions, sorry. So if we were going to train up our year fives looking forward towards them being year sixes next year and going with the year six model, would it be beneficial to train those or do the application process this term so that they can hit the ground running term one?
Yeah, yeah. I would, just so that you get an idea even of who's thinking about it, and you can it doesn't mean you have to do all the training at the end of this term, but at least you've got, you know, who your pals are going to be. Yeah, and you could start something at the end of this term, and then maybe your first couple of weeks of term one is getting them up to speed and up to scratch of creating their rosters and rotations and games and things, and then by week 3, when everyone's sort of settled into the term, not that do they really settle, but you know, everyone's
still waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess if you hold off to term 1, it sort of then carries out that process of setting up. So
what's the time frame for that process?
Again, I think it can be up to what the school wants, however you want to do it. You know, I've done the training with schools within a week and just been out every day to support the teacher. Like Casey said, we did it over the whole term. Yeah. Jane, how long?
That's a lot of hearing time in Tiana.
Yeah. I'm like, to hearing. Where's your diary, mate?
That's a lot of hearing in Tiana. That's great. I love it. I feel like
our year 6 cohort like our year 6s for 24 there, we've got 58. So we've got a few kids that if they're keen, we've got a few kids that to run through it on. Yeah.
And just touching on what Joni